Hey guys, welcome back to World of Warships. Today we're taking a look at the Xuan. I'm probably mispronouncing that, I do apologize, but this is a Pan-Asian Tier 9 premium battleship that is based off of the Iowa. And the reason this is interesting is not that it's just a cloned Iowa, it's that it's a cloned Iowa in a different tech tree. This is something I've always wondered about. What if you gave American high-tier battleships the normal dispersion upgrade in slot 3, which would allow them to take reload mod without feeling like you're trolling, right? Like you're just messing around. It seems like a massive mistake to take reload mod on an American battleship because 11% dispersion is huge for a battleship. And that's what you want to take in slot 6 on these higher tier battleships. But with a different tech tree having an Iowa now, we get to see what reload mod plus a standard dispersion mod in slot 3 looks like. And it's pretty good. I had a few good games here this morning. I haven't played it too much, but this went reasonably well. Although I did notice that the dispersion felt a little bit worse than a standard Iowa, which is to be expected. 7% versus 11% is the difference here when it comes to those two upgrades. So the extra reload, we got to make use of it. We got to be firing a lot, and we got to be finding targets to go after with these 406mm guns. If you haven't seen Iowa before, pretty standard battleship at this tier. 9 406s, base of a 30-second reload. The armor is okay, large superstructure here. We're pretty quick though, which is nice for flanking and maneuvering around the map. Although we're a pretty big ship, and it can take a lot of damage when broadside, so you have to be careful when showing your broadside. But very nice to grab a Buffalo here, I think. Yeah, First Blood, Buffalo. Feels pretty good. Already up to nearly 50,000 damage. Pretty good. Mayoko, flat, well, maybe not quite flat broadside, but chilling in the map. There's a pretty low island here, not a very tall island to shoot over, so he's not exactly safe from us back here. And hopefully our dispersion's good enough for him. Yes. Yes, it is. Dev Strike. So First Blood, then a Dev Strike. That's a pretty good start to a game. 84k already. I gotta say, this one went pretty well. Now, you might be wondering how to get this ship. This is going to be available in, it's an event, the Three Kingdoms event. It's going to start June 19th and go to July 10th. And it's going to be in bundles, so I think that means it's just going to be, it's loot boxes as well as an Admiral bundle in the premium shop. So you're going to have to spend quite a bit on this one, I think, just because Tier 9 premiums typically cost a lot. I think, at least Canadian, it's around $100 Canadian, which, to be fair, our dollar's not the strongest. So for you Americans, it'll be a lot less, at least numerically. This value converts out to be basically the same. Nice little citadel there on the hood. It's a very powerful Tier 9 battleship when fighting your same tier. Now, we got to talk, though, about the problems with the tiers. Tier 9, I mean, this is the whole reason that I talked about the Carl Johan maybe not being the best ship in random battles. It's a fun ship to trade for, but maybe not being the best in random battles because Tier 9 faces super ships in Tier 10 a lot. And it's going to struggle there, especially the Carl does. But the Xuan at least seems to be okay, just because you can play that more mid to long range role. Our concealment here is pretty decent at 12.7 as well, but I mean, that's just Iowa. I think the only difference is that upgrade slots. Other than that, it should be a copy-pasted Iowa. Unfortunately, this ship was only just added to the game client with this update 13.5. So with me getting access to it today, none of the third-party websites have actually updated to give me the hidden stats of this ship, so I can't tell if the, let's say, secondary accuracy is improved or rudder shift. Actually, rudder shift's in the client, but the soft stats, acceleration values, any weird stuff like that. Dispersion, Sigma in particular, vertical dispersion, is that different? In the game client, you only see horizontal dispersion. All these little weird values that I like to point out, unfortunately, I can't see at the moment. So I'll look at it whenever those third-party websites update, and then I'll post a pinned comment in the description below. But you're going to have to give me a couple days for that. I'm not sure exactly when those sites are going to update. So if you don't see anything right away, well, it's probably because I'm waiting on those websites. But a few days from now, when I post this video and you don't see a pinned comment, it's safe to assume that it really is just a copy-pasted Iowa. that's the information I've been given, that it is just copy-pasted Iowa, but nice to see the stats just to make sure. Broadside North Carolina, not very healthy, but hoping to finish him off here. Already up to 150, 160,000 damage, 6 Citadels into this one. Maybe some good RNG, some good matchmaker as well going into this one, but a pretty nice game. Not too much happened at the end, they kind of ran off the map. So I got a few little chip damage hits in as they were kiting away, so a little more damage. 177. We do get a Fireproof and a Dreadnought in this one. Might be a little greedy on the build, so that might be why the fires ticked for a little bit more damage. We had a good encounter in this one as well. Encounter, tier 9, pretty strong ship, especially into tier 9s. For me, I actually enjoyed that ship much more than the tier 10. Next game, though, we have tier 10s in this one. I will say I did play one more that I'm not going to show you that was super ships, because we had just played at 20 kilometers sniping at each other the whole game, and it was really, really boring. I think you can imagine what that's like if you've played any higher tier stuff into super ships. Now the Schlieffen is a pretty tough target for us to go after, but if he goes broadsides, there's a small chance that there's some citadels there. Schlieffen, of course, not having that turtleback, has just got a waterline citadel, but it's always so hard to hit. I have such a tough time with this thing. So hopefully we get that nice dispersion. At least our second and third turret do. 1, 2, 3 citadels into the Schlieffen. Nearly one-shotting a Schlieffen with a tier 9 battleship. That doesn't happen very often. I will take it, though. I will gladly take it. That's a very nice way to start off this game. So it can work out very well, but keep in mind that's just Iowa as well. Can do this with probably a little better accuracy. I like the reload, though, for sure. But when it comes to battleships, at the end of the day, it really mostly is around dispersion. You can see that with Wisconsin in particular. Having a tier 10 with only 9 406s might not sound very good on paper, but when you think about it, all that matters for battleships is the number of shells you hit, not the number of shells you fire. So that's why it's so important to get good dispersion when it comes to battleships. And for this ship to have slightly worse dispersion, but an improved reload, thanks to the alternate equipment layout, not consumables, equipment layout, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Although I don't know if it's worth spending a ton of money on, as Iowa does a similar thing. That said, if you're looking for a tier 9 premium, maybe this is an interest to you. If you're looking for an American Iowa as a premium, and you haven't managed to get in on a Missouri, although the last time they did Missouri was quite a while ago, so to be fair, I think that one a lot of people wouldn't have had recently, at least. But the trade-in event is on right now. The Wisconsin dockyard is still available for purchase, even if it is not available for the combat missions to grind it out. So something to consider there is, I talked about that, I guess, yesterday's video, the kind of look back on the Wisconsin dockyard. Is it worth it to spend and finish off that dockyard? And I kind of thought, yeah, if you're willing to spend money on this game and you have a lot of disposable income, Wisconsin's so good that I'd be willing to spend for a tier 8 or tier 9 premium. I know that's a lot. For a lot of other games, that's just the full sale price of another AAA game. So the values are a little skewed, right? But Wisconsin's pretty good. And if you're debating between John Woo and Wisconsin, I would go Wisconsin if they're a similar price for you to buy and you're willing to spend that much, at least, right? That's the other thing. It's still a lot of money. But if you're willing to spend that on a tier 9 Iowa that's slightly different, I would way rather get the Wisconsin. Now, to be fair, this video might be viewed way in the future and Wisconsin Dockyard might not be available. And for me personally, I would not really want to spend money on this ship. It'd be cool if you get it in like a free container that you manage to get, but I wouldn't roll loot boxes on this, and I probably wouldn't buy it either just because it plays so similarly to an Iowa, and if you're looking for a premium ship to grind credits on, I guess it's okay to get an Iowa like that, but there's a lot more unique ships to get, and that's just kind of the thing for me, is it's not unique enough for me to be really interested in spending close to 100 Canadian dollars on, or just to earn another premium ship. But it looks cool. There's a cool camo that comes with it. You get a special commander that is a special portrait, really. There's no extra goodies to it. Although, to be fair, I am using the special Pan-Asian commander. Not often that I get to use that guy, especially on battleships. I think the only relevant skill is potential damage. If you get 1.5 million potential damage, I think it reduces your consumable cooldown. I think that's what it does. I'll have to look in port. Nice finishing salvo onto the Chappie. That's what this ship does, of course. Iowa, John Woo here, giving us that very nice broadside cross-shotting ability. Something I love about American battleships is winning a flank and then going over and trying to catch the broadsides of everyone on the opposite flank. It always tends to go pretty well for us. Now, Pommern pushing in, you can shoot superstructure and do pretty good damage. And also coming with this event, there's a premium clone of the Kid, so tier 8 destroyer from the American tree in the Pan-Asian tree. That one doesn't seem as interesting to me. I don't know if the upgrades to the equipment really matter for that, the changeover. So let me know if you want to see that. Otherwise, it's just a Kid. Other than that, keep in mind Independence Day is coming for this update as well. So in that one, you're going to be able to find things like Rhode Island, Johnston coming out there too. I'll take a look at those a little closer to that event, but that was in the update 13.5 patch notes. So there's a lot of stuff coming here when it comes to premium ships that you can buy. And I will say it looks like the Rhode Island in particular will be available as just a premium ship purchase in the premium shop. So that one will not be cheap either. A lot of high tier premiums coming here right now that you can spend a lot of money on. So I think that also has to be a little bit of a downside to the John Woo here, with it being a tier 9 basically clone of an Iowa and not being quite as unique as some of these other ships coming in. Makes it a little less appealing for me. But it can do some seriously good work, and I would say that Iowa also is pretty solid at tier 9 these days, given how this ship performed. We did pretty well here to get another 160k damage game. The Dev Strike was a little gimmicky, to be fair. That was just that poor destroyer having to deal with detonations, a very fun mechanic in this game. Orgone, bow on. We can go for superstructures, but not exactly what we're looking for. Ideally, we'd go after broadsides with these 406s. Overmatch at these higher tiers does feel pretty good when you get that, I guess, 32 mil overmatch. You don't really see that too much at tier 9 outside of Musashi, but it's still something to consider with this ship. You do have overmatchable sections, and when you're fighting against higher tier like tier 10 and super ships, your armor does not hold up nearly as well. That 32 mil overmatch is atrocious for this ship. Something about Iowa that's very different from Montana, for example, going up to that tier 10 hull means your Citadel armor is actually so much worse here. I can show you that in a little bit here when we get to port, as we just won this game. But the Citadel is very lightly armored, I'd say. So even though it is waterline nowadays, you will be susceptible to eating Citadels at much further ranges than you might in a Montana. If you played a lot of Iowa, that is something that you fully know about already, though. Overall, I'd say the camo does look pretty cool. Not too flashy, nice and subtle, but does add some nice detail. That's, of course, a subjective thing. But at the end of the day, it really seems to just be an Iowa with slightly different upgrades here, which is cool. It's a really interesting exercise to see what this ship looks like now. Like I said, that's something I've always wondered is, what would these American battleships be like with the normal aiming systems and no access to that special American accuracy upgrade on slot 6, where then we just take the reload mod? And it's pretty good. I still would rather have accuracy, though. I think, for me personally, I just value that a little bit highly. On to our commander. Very greedy build here. Heavy AP and Furious. As long as I can get away with it, I am trying to run this build more as just the weightier salvos. I just am enjoying that more. It feels like the ships punch a little bit harder. Here you go, that 1.5 million potential damage, which I don't think I ever activated. Playing a little bit more passive these days, trying to re-teach myself to just not W key into people, and I'm having a better time with not dying insta to things. So not activating this skill, but still 6.5%, that's okay. Something you should know, of course, is you don't have access to those American special commanders like Halsey. Very powerful. That Confederate giving you 20% reload. It's a pretty strong effect. The armor here still looks like Iowa. 38 mil deck, upper belt armor, 32 bow, large superstructure to farm. And then if we take a look at that Citadel, waterline Citadel, but only 297 on the side and 216 on the bow. So a little bit of plunging here through your bow with a 32 mil overmatch. That's, yeah, you can eat Citadels pretty easily with this thing. Although it is waterline, so it's a little bit less likely, which is nice. Personally, still would rather have more ships with above water Citadels that are easier to hit when they make a mistake and go broadside, and less damage when things are angled. That's I've said that a lot though with that Wisconsin video. You probably know, but that's gonna do it for today's video. Let me know what you think, and if I should take a look at the Pan-Asian copy of the Kid, could do that. But other than that, I think that's really the only interesting thing with this particular event. Just giving us that extra look at slightly different upgrades. But a lot of premium ships coming to the game. Rhode Island, Johnston available with the Independence Day event, this update. Of course, these two Pan-Asian ones. The Wisconsin still available to whale your way through to finish that one. So a lot of options, and this one just doesn't stand out quite enough. Thank you very much for watching, and have a great rest of your day.